Hello students, myself Dr. Kishore Kumar, Assistant Professor of Biochemistry at SRR Government Arts and Science College, Karimnagar. Today I am going to discuss topic on enzyme inhibitions, significance with the drug targets. So these enzymes, these are very essential for the all biological processes. In this lecture, I am going to discuss or cover about the introduction of the enzymes, the basic things, what type of enzymes are, how many types, and what is the properties of the enzymes and how they catalyze the chemical reactions. And the second part is I am going to discuss about the chemical kinetics, which is also very essential because that chemical kinetics is one which going to tells about how enzymes are going to be catalyze the chemical reactions. And third topic is enzyme inhibitions. So this is very essential for the development of any drugs. And the last part of my topic is drug targets to the enzymes and why most of the drugs are targeting to the enzymes and what is the speciality of the enzymes to design a drug. So before giving the introduction of the enzymes, I am tell you the importance of the enzymes. So for any living organism, it has two major properties. One is self-replication, other one is catalyzing the chemical reactions. So catalyzing the chemical reactions in a living organism, especially this work is done by the enzymes. So enzymes are the biocatalyst which accelerate the rate of the chemical reactions without altering to them. So actually how these chemical reactions is going to be catalyzing by the enzymes, I am just giving the importance. If you take the proteins, the protein hydrolysis, proteins are, we know that it is made up of amino acids. So amino acids bind together by the peptide bonds. If you take a protein, for suppose it's if you take an X protein, if you want to hydrolyze the protein in laboratory condition with a strong acid at the temperature of 100 degrees, the hydrolysis will takes place for the 2 days. But the same reaction in a living cell, it is only will take for the 2 hours. So we can see the remarkable difference between the kinetics of the enzyme. So which can leads to the fasten of the enzymes actions. So in this way, all enzymes are proteins. Of course, proteins are made up of amino acids, but except that ribozyme, it's an RNA. So which is made up of oxyribonucleic acid. It's not a protein except that RNA is. So when you take the catalyst basically what we use in a laboratory, these are many two types, that chemical catalysts and one thing is our biological catalyst, that is enzymes. These enzymes having the difference when compared with this chemical catalysts in 3 ways. First one is these biocatalysts have the higher reaction rates. So the enzymes, when you compare with a chemical catalyst, these enzymes will fasten the reactions. So that is very important when compared with this chemical. The second difference is greater reaction specificity. So every enzyme, it has its own reaction capacity. So it is specifically bind its specific substrates and leading to that chemical reactions. Though the specificity is important for these enzymes. The third difference is ability to be regulated. So most of the enzymes, they are having the regulated mechanisms, which is very essential for any chemical reactions which is taking place in the living system. In these 3 ways, enzymes differ from the chemical catalyst. So if you say the enzymes is a functional enzyme or which is an active enzyme, it should call it as holoenzyme. The holoenzyme is a functional enzyme. This holoenzyme is made up of two different parts. One is protein part, that we can call it as apoenzyme. Other one is non-protein part, that is called prosthetic group. This non-protein part we can also call it as prosthetic group. This prosthetic group will covalently bind to this protein part, that is apoenzyme. This prosthetic group again divided into two ways. One is if it is binding with a chemical or inorganic molecules, we can call it as cofactors. Example, iron, zinc, magnesium. If it is in a small organic molecule, we can call it as coenzyme. This prosthetic group is very essential for the enzyme to be catalyze the chemical reactions. So enzymes are macromolecules having a small active centers. So that is called active site. Active site is the site where actually the binding of the substrate and catalysis of the chemical reaction is taking place. So active site is divided into two different types. One is binding site, other one is catalytic site. Binding site is the place where exactly the substrate, the enzyme specific substrate will bind, and which is further leads to the catalytic process. So this is the basic slide where it shows about the how the substrate and enzyme will bind and will leads to the production. So majority of the, as I told you before, enzymes are a macromolecules which having the larger in size. So most of the enzymes, they are having the tertiary and quaternary structures. In tertiary and quaternary structures, what happen, you know, the most of this active site, it is made up of few amino acids. The predominant amino acid which is present at the active site is serine. So if you see in a primary structure of the enzyme, these amino acids are in a very far distance. But if you see in a tertiary and quaternary structures, these far amino acids come together and will form the active site. This active site is not a rigid one. This is an preformed, it's a dynamic state. So whenever the substrate is coming to this enzyme, that enzyme according to the substrate, it can modify the active site and bind to the substrate. So the binding of the substrate to the enzyme will takes place to the production, to the forward of the reaction towards the products and the enzyme release. So how that enzyme, how the chemical reaction is taking place, what is the logic for this enzymes to be taking place. For that, the famous two scientists, they have done about the kinetics of the enzymes. These two scientists, they have given the enzyme kinetics equations and how the kinetics is taking place. One is Maintain, other one is Michaelis. These two scientists are very essential for their enzyme kinetic studies. So before going to discuss about how the enzyme kinetics is taking place, I'll tell you, for suppose if you see, this is the graph which shows about the how enzymes is catalyzing the reactions. For suppose here, these are the reactants, nothing but the substrates, and these are the products. If you see the red line, these reactants will convert into products which required the higher amount of the increasing amount of activation energy. So this is without enzyme. But if you see with enzyme, the activation energy from here to here, it is decreased. So the chemical reaction is going to be fastened. The same thing I shown in this slide. So you just see here. So one side is a wet place, that is maybe you can call it as a river, and the other side is a dry place. the wall, the stone wall which is there in between the wet and dry place, that is called activation energy. Let us suppose you just assume that this is an activation energy. So the frog want to jump from the dry place to the wet place. It has more amount of energy to cross this stone wall. Then only it is jumping into the river. So this is the case without the enzymes. But if you see here, this is with presence of the enzymes, what will happen? The stone wall is decreased. So easily all the frogs easily can jump into the river. This is how exactly the enzymes will do. So what the enzymes will do, which can decrease the activation energy of the chemical reactions. So decreasing of activation energy will leads to the fastening of the chemical reactions. So previously I showed you that two scientists, they have worked on the enzyme kinetics. They have given a small simple equation which is essential for the any chemical reactions. First, suppose enzyme, when it binds its to specific substrate, it immediately leads to the enzyme substrate complex. This enzyme substrate complex is reversible, whether it can go forward to give the products, or otherwise it can go back to give you the enzymes and substrates. So if it is the enzyme substrate complex, if it is forwarding and catalyzing the reaction, will give you the enzyme plus the products. So here the each and every place, the K1, K2 minus K1, these are the reaction constants. So by based on this equation, at finally they have given a final equation that is called V0 equal to V max into substrate concentration and divide by Km plus substrate concentration. Here I am explaining what is these parameters. V0 is nothing but it's a velocity of the chemical reaction. So it is an initial velocity of the chemical reactions. So V max is the maximum velocity of that chemical reactions. So substrate concentration is nothing but how much amount of substrate is present during that reactions. Here the Km value is nothing but it's an Michaelis-Menten constant. So here the Km is very essential for any enzyme, and enzyme with an high Km has a low affinity for its substrate and requires a greater concentration of the substrate to achieve the Vmax. So Km is a very significant, and each and every enzyme having its own Km. So the significance of the Km is essential for the how much quantity of the substrate required to catalyze this chemical reaction. I'll give you a few examples. One thing we all know about the glucokinase and hexokinase. What are those? Yeah, exactly. So glucokinase and hexokinase, these are the two enzymes which are involved in the glycolysis pathway, right? Yeah. So what exactly they does? Simple. Glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate. So glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate by the helping of two enzymes, glucokinase and hexokinase. Hexokinase required low amount of the glucose substrate, whereas compared to the glucokinase, it required more amount of the glucose. So mostly glucokinase is active whenever the high amount of glucose is present in the blood. So it is especially useful for the maintaining of the glucose in a circulation. So whereas the hexokinase, it is important for the intercellular glucose maintenance. So this is how the Km and Vmax are very essential for each and every enzyme. So coming to the my third aspects of this topic, that is called enzyme inhibition. So enzyme inhibition, here inhibition, what is the meaning of inhibition? Inhibition is nothing but to stop. What is the stopping? To stopping the chemical reactions of the enzymes to don't allow them to move further. The inhibitor is in a small molecule which is having a small molecular weight, which can bind to the enzyme and which decrease the activity of the enzyme. So what is an inhibitor? An inhibitor is a molecule that bind to the enzyme and decrease its activity. So it is based on the inhibitors. It can decrease the enzyme activity or it can permanently destroy the enzyme nature. So sometimes this blocking of the enzyme's activity can kill a pathogen or can correct an metabolic imbalances. So as I told you, these enzymes are very essential for many metabolic conditions. Without them, we can't imagine the chemical reactions in the living organisms. So the inhibitions, basically two different types. One is reversible inhibition, other one is irreversible inhibition. So there is a basic difference between reversible inhibition and irreversible inhibition. If you see in a reversible inhibition what is happening to the enzymes, the name itself telling that it's a reversible reactions. So what is happening in reversible reactions? The inhibitor which come in contact with the enzyme with a non-covalent interactions. So we know that non-covalent interactions are less strong interactions. So the inhibitor, it never permanently bind to the enzyme. So sometimes what is happening, if the favorable conditions to the enzyme, it can go for the catalysis of the chemical reactions. So nothing but what? If you remove the inhibitor, the enzyme will gain the function and it can further go for their catalysis. But if you see the irreversible enzymes, the inhibitor will bind to the enzyme within covalent interactions. We know that covalent interactions are very strong interactions. They never allow the enzyme to be perform its action. So what happens? In this case, it may decrease the enzyme activity in two ways. It can decrease the enzyme activity or it can permanently destroy the enzyme. So this is the basic difference between the reversible and irreversible enzymes. When you see here the reversible enzymes, these are basically the following types. One is competitive inhibition, other one is uncompetitive inhibition, third one is mixed inhibition, and fourth one is non-competitive inhibition. So my subsequent discussion, I am going to discuss about each and every type of inhibition and how exactly the inhibitor binds to the enzyme and will leads to no reaction. So you can see here, this is an competitive inhibition. Competitive inhibition, the name, as the name suggests, competition. What is the competition? Where is the competition? It's simple. The competition is between substrate and the inhibitor to the same site of the enzyme. For suppose if you see this is an enzyme, this part is an enzyme, and this the center place is exactly the active site where the substrate will bind. The active site exactly instead of substrate, the inhibitor will go and bind. what is happening? So the inhibitor, once the inhibitor bind to the enzymes, it can form the enzyme inhibitor complex. So this enzyme inhibitor complex will not allow the enzymes to bind the substrate. So what is happening in this case? So there is no place for the substrate to bind to the enzyme. So further it can leads to no reaction. So that is we can show in this reaction that, for suppose if enzyme bind to the substrate, it can form the enzyme substrate complex, and further it can move to the products and enzyme release. But whereas this competitive inhibitor will bind to the enzyme and will form the enzyme substrate complex, which never allow the substrate to be bind, and there is no reactions. N number of drugs have the best example for this competitive inhibition. Here I am giving a small example, that is called cyanide. Cyanide is we know that cyanide is a triple bond with the carbon and nitrogen. The cyanide poisoning, we all heard about that. A small amount of cyanide is enough for us to kill a human body. It's a small need. So what exactly the cyanide will do? The cyanide will act at the cytochrome C oxidase, which is a major enzyme involved in the energy production reactions. So that is called oxidative phosphorylation reaction. So what oxidative phosphorylation reaction? During these reactions, ultimately the chemical energy, the cellular energy, whatever called the energy of the living system, that is called ATP, will produce. But whenever the cyanide go and bind with the cytochrome C oxidase, what will happen? It never allow the electrons to pass to the ATP. So that can leads to no production of the energy. So what is happening? We all know about the glucose, how much of amount glucose is utilized by our body parts. Especially if you take the brain required 60% of the glucose for their action. So means what? The glucose will give you the energy. So here immediately what is happening in the cyanide poisoning, the brain cells, they never get the energy. If the brain cells, they never get the energy, what will happen? They immediately leads to coma and further leads to death. So the cyanide is an best example for this competitive inhibition. The next category is non-competitive inhibition. Here the non-competitive inhibition, where the inhibitor have the two choice, whether it can bind to the enzyme alone or it can also bind to the enzyme substrate complex. So we can see here the cartoon. Exactly, the inhibitor may bind with the same place. Inhibitor will directly bind to the substrate binding place or other than the substrate binding place. So here what is happening at the same, like if the enzyme is bind with an inhibitor, it can give you the enzyme inhibitor complex, and further it is not proceeding for the any chemical reactions. If it is binding to the enzyme substrate complex, what is happening? The enzyme substrate inhibitor complex will be formed, which is further leads to no reaction. So it is not allowing the enzymes to perform its action. So here the substrate is binding at the active site of the enzyme, and the inhibitor will bind the other than the active site of the enzyme. Sometimes we can call it as these are the allosteric sites. In my next few slides I am going to discuss about the allosteric enzymes. So the best example for this non-competitive inhibition is penicillin. So we are all know about this penicillin. Penicillin especially used for this bacterial infections. So what exactly the penicillin does? Penicillin will bind to the enzyme transpeptidase, which is an enzyme which is present in the bacteria, which is essential for the cross-linking of the peptidoglycan layer of the cell wall of the bacteria. So what is happening? if bacteria is having high amount of the cross links, this is happening because of the transpeptidase. So high amount of the cross linking will give you the strength of the bacteria. But what exactly penicillin does, it can stop the transpeptidase and leads to the susceptible of the bacteria to their environmental conditions. So this is an best example for the non-competitive inhibition. So when coming to the third category, that is uncompetitive inhibition. So this uncompetitive inhibition, what is happening? Inhibitor, if you see here, the inhibitor will bind only after substrate binding to the enzyme. After substrate binding to the enzyme. So here the inhibitor will have the special place where inhibitor will bind after binding of the substrate. So what exactly it means? When the substrate binding to the enzyme, that enzyme itself make an conformational changes that can leads to binding of the inhibitor. So here what will happen? The enzyme substrate inhibitor complex will be formed. So this complex is not going to be allow the enzyme to perform the chemical reactions. And this is a very essential plots. Here I am not going to discuss much about this, but I will tell you in simple way exactly what the Km is. We can see here in competitive inhibition, Km value increased and Vmax unchanged. Km value increased means what is happening? So the particular enzyme, if you say as I discussed in the previous slides, Km value is more, so that particular enzyme requires very less amount of the substrate. If you see the non-competitive inhibition, here Km value is unchanged. So there is no change Km value in non-competitive inhibition. But whereas Vmax is decreased. If you see the uncompetitive inhibition, here the both Vmax and Km decreases. And this has further extrapolated by the double reciprocal plot. These are also called as Lion-Weaver-Burke plot, but which are not going to discuss at this point. So till now what we discussed about these are reversible reactions. So now coming to the irreversible reactions. We know that irreversible reactions, as I explained you, these are bind to the enzymes with an covalent interactions. So covalent interactions they are very strong. They never allow the enzymes to be perform its action. So enzyme activity is not regained if the dialysis or by increasing the concentration of the substrate. So the major difference between these reversible and irreversible reactions is, in reversible reaction, if you take out the inhibitor or if you increase the substrate concentration, definitely the chemical reaction will take place. Okay, I am again repeating you. In reversible reactions, if you take out the inhibitor or if you increase the concentration of the substrate, will make the enzyme to function normally. Right? Is it understand? Okay. Then now it's an irreversible inhibitions. The fundamental difference is here that irreversible inhibition, the inhibitor, they never allow the enzyme to function. Whatever ways you do, it never allow the enzyme to be function. So that is the major difference between the reversible, irreversible. The best example is iodoacetate. Many kind of the poisoning, iodine poisoning or iodoacetate poisoning, these are very essential for this type of inhibitions. And one more type of inhibition is suicide inhibition. What is suicide inhibition? Suicide inhibition is a specialized form of irreversible inhibition. So, in irreversible inhibition, what is happening? This is also called it as mechanism based inactivation. So, what is mechanism based inactivation? It is simple. Whenever the inhibitor binds to the enzyme, it can making some more potent, and it is very toxic to that particular enzyme. So, meaning what? Inhibitor is converted to a more effective inhibitor with the help of enzyme to be inhibited. So, that is what it is called it as suicide inhibition. Okay. Suicide inhibition is it's also called it as mechanism based inhibition. It's a simple one. So, for suppose I'll a little more explain about this suicide inhibition. Let's suppose inhibitor is present which is going to bind to the enzyme. The binding of the inhibitor to the enzyme, it's not sufficient to complete inactivate the enzyme. So, what is happening? So, nothing but this inhibitor is an substrate analog. So, what is happening? This enzyme will convert this inhibitor to one kind of a chemical product which is more potent and will have the more strong interactions to the enzyme. So, after catalyzing of the chemical reaction, what is happening? That the whatever the product formed from the inhibitor will have a more potent to bind to the enzyme. So, that is called mechanism based inhibition. So, it is also called it as suicide inhibition. So, during my discussion I said about the allosteric enzymes. What are allosteric enzymes? As we know that enzymes are micromolecules. So, they are having a very big size. So, basically enzymes are two different types, monomeric enzymes and multimeric enzymes. Most of the multimeric enzymes, what is monomeric enzymes? Yeah, exactly. Monomeric enzymes are, they are having a single polypeptide chains. Okay? Whereas the multimeric enzymes, these are made up of more than one polypeptide chain. So, most of the multimeric enzymes, they are regulated by the allosteric enzymes. So, allosteric site. So, as I told you, the enzymes have two major sites. One is an active site, other one is an allosteric site. Allosteric site is a place where exactly the enzymes will have the accessory proteins to interact that place. These accessory proteins or these accessory compounds will have two major categories, are activators or inhibitors. So, sometimes the enzyme needs to be activate, some allosteric activator proteins bind to the allosteric site and make them the enzyme to more active, and it is further going for the chemical reactions. Sometimes the inhibitor is present which is bind to the allosteric site and which can slow down that enzyme catalyzing reactions. So, the best example for this allosteric enzymes are feedback inhibitions. This is a very best example. What is feedback inhibition? If you suppose, if you see here, this is a metabolic pathway, the A from the substrate A to B, B to C, C to D, the ultimate D is a product. So, here each and every chemical phases E1, E2, E3 are the enzymes. Here what is happening, you know, the end product that is called D. This D is inhibited feedback through the E1. So, this is usually end product inhibition. What is happening here? The end product D will go and bind to the enzyme E1, where exactly it will bind? It binds only the allosteric place. So, that can leads to the enzyme inhibition. So, coming to my final phase of this topic is enzymes as targets. Why enzymes are targets? Basically, enzymes have three fundamental principles or three fundamental characters or three fundamental properties which make them us to prepare drugs to the enzymes. One is they play an essential role in biological and pathophysiological mechanisms. Second one is the enzymes having, these are a very, even though very big molecule, macromolecule, they are having the ligand binding packets. They are very small and which are very amenable and have a good chemical interactions with the drugs. This property is also very essential for the any drug to be designed for the enzymes. And the third main important point for this target to the enzyme is allosteric site. This allosteric site make them to change the conformation of the enzyme. The changing of the conformation will leads to decreasing of the function or completely stopping of that enzyme. So this is a research article which is published in the famous journal, where they have analyzed, they have taken 1174 drugs. You see here, they have taken 1174 drugs which are highly marketed in a pharmaceutical industry. They analyzed these drugs, two targets. These drugs, how they are targeting to their places. Here if you see, the majority of the drugs, nearly 50% of the drugs are targeted to the enzymes. If you imagine the future or next level of medicine generation will definitely targeting based on their specific pathways enzymes and correcting to the diseases. So here nearly 50% of the drugs are targeted to the enzymes. This will tell you the significance of the enzymes in a new drug discovery criteria. The second place is goes to receptors. You see here, this is 23%, and third is the transporters and channels. These are also proteins, but they are not enzymes. But as such, enzymes are 50%. So this is a major criteria where exactly the new drugs are coming into picture. So these two slides, this one and the next slide, I am going to discuss about what are the famous drugs and how they are targeted to this our clinical uses. The first one, if you see here, this one, acetozolamide, which is a small molecular drug which is targeted to the enzyme, is called carbonic anhydrase, which is used for the clinical use glaucoma. Glaucoma is a disease which is related to the optic nerve of your eye. Okay, so that glaucoma will be corrected by this acetozolamide. And if you see the second one, acyclovir, which is an antiviral drug which is targeted to the DNA polymerase, which is treated for the clinical use, is herpes. So if you see allopurinol, which is xanthine oxidase inhibitor, which is used for clinical is gout disease. We know about aspirin, which is having the other functions and which is also have the major function, that aspirins are targeted or which can bind to the cyclooxygenases, which are involved. These cyclooxygenases are involved for the inflammation, pain and fever. So the next drug, amoxicillin. The amoxicillin is used for the most of the bacterial infections, especially this aspirin bind to the penicillin binding drugs. So enalapril, this is used for the correct the hypertension. This bind to the enzyme called angiotensin converting enzyme. So these are very essential drugs. I'm taking a few examples. So carbidopa, which is a dopa decarboxylase, which is very basic drug useful for the treating of the Parkinson disease. What is Parkinson disease? Parkinson disease it's a neuronal disease. So shivering, shaking, and these two that symptoms are there in a Parkinson disease. To treat for this, the carbidopa will be used. The next drug is digoxin, which is a plant extract and which is used for the sodium potassium ATPase pump inhibitor, which is especially used for the heart diseases. Here what is happening? It can decrease the sodium potassium pump and it can relax the heart muscles. Then levastatin. This most of us we know that about the levastatin. Levastatins are used for the lowering down of the cholesterols. So how exactly the levastatin will do? It is binding to the HMG-CoA reductase, which is a step cholesterol regulating enzyme in a metabolism. So this can bind to the HMG-CoA and making down to be less active, and that can further leads to low amount of cholesterol productions. The next one is methotrexate, which is widely treated for the cancer patients. So the action of methotrexate is what? It's an dihydroxyfolate reductase. So dihydroxyfolate reductase is essential for the synthesis of RNA and DNA. We know that cancer cells are highly dividing cells, these are very fast dividing cells. They require more amount of DNA. So the DNA, the nucleic acid will be stopped by this methotrexate. The next drug is norfloxacin, so which is bind to the DNA gyrase and which is treated for the clinical use for the urinary tract infections. Those are also called it as UTRs. Okay. Coming to the next drug is called omeprazole, which is binding to the sodium potassium ATPase. So this is very essential using for this clinical use to peptic ulcers. So the next one is Viagra. This everyone knows. Viagra will bind to the phosphodiesterase protein, will making to production of nitric oxide production. So this nitric oxide will encourage the smooth muscle go for the vasodilation. So especially this is treating for this erectile dysfunctions. So like this, many type of chemical drugs are targeted to these enzymes. Example, we know that as I discussed, disulfiram, cyanide and ball, these are all also very essential drugs which are specially targeted to the particular enzymes. So if you take any new future research, will have its own, definitely the enzymes will give you a major role. So far as what I discussed is, I will summarize within a 1 minute that what are the enzymes and how the enzymes are regulated and what is the chemical kinetics of the enzyme, and how the inhibitions and how many type of inhibitors are present and how the inhibition is taking place, and finally the drugs, the importance of the enzymes for the new drug targets and what the properties of the enzymes will making us to prepare new drugs to the enzymes. So this is how the enzymes plays a major role for the development of the new drugs. Thank you.